All right, now we should be bringing in Brian, who's just climbing into his seat.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good. How's things on my end with you?
You look good. You look fantastic. Let's not sugarcoat things. You don't look good. You look fantastic, and you sound good, too.
I appreciate that, dude. You look good. Everything is A-okay on my end, so this is exciting stuff, man.
Excellent, excellent. We're off to a good start. So we'll go ahead and blow things up so we're easier to see. And we've got some folks commenting on YouTube as well. Good morning to you as well on YouTube. So, Brian, you're here to talk to me about something that I have absolutely no idea about, snow.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
You guys are down in Florida, right?
Yeah, Northeast Florida. So we did have that hailstorm on March 20th. But other than that, that's about as much cold weather experience as I have. Sure. Now, if I'm not wrong, this year, well, not necessarily this year because this is 2008, but 2017, 2018, that was your first, was it your first like ever season that you dabbled in snow for your business, or the first one where you went all out on it?
That's a great question, man. And first off, before we like throw up on each other with just getting things started, I want to say a big thank you to you for putting this whole thing together, man. I know this takes a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and you know, whether people are watching it live or when they're going to watch the replay, hopefully somebody comments and says, "Hey, thanks, Brad, for putting this on," because I know you and I have been talking for about 2 months to put this whole thing together. So. I just want to say a big thank you to you for doing this because I know logistically what it takes to put stuff like this together, and I appreciate it. So hopefully people get something good out of it, obviously. But all that being said, I appreciate the time as well, man. So thanks for doing this for all of us, for the community, you know.
Well, thank you. Like I said in those opening remarks, I'm always blown away at how many people subscribe and watch all of us and make everything we do possible. It's something that, you know, if you aren't experiencing it, you really wouldn't think it's possible. So I appreciate your thank you, but defer that thank you to everybody else who's watching. So, but I do appreciate that. Yeah,
dude, for sure. I got you. And yeah, to answer your question, yeah, this is our first official year doing snow removal. So I've done it on the side for honestly 7 or 8 years with snow blowers, and you know, it was kind of just extra credit income. Really, we didn't really get too heavily involved in the snow and ice game. But this last year, as most people who follow me and my channel on YouTube and Instagram know, that I picked up a brand new truck, and because of that, it gave us the capacity to tackle the snow and ice game. And this was the first year where we also purchased a brand new plow, which was exciting. And so coupling that together, we made an all-in push, if you will, doing snow removal. And wow, talk about getting baptized by fire. Yeah, that's a great photo of the truck right now. And
yeah, I was going to pull that up. That's a beauty of a truck too. I remember watching the video where you went and picked it up, and it's a sharp looking truck. Now this is, I'm assuming before it looks like it's before it was out rigged for all the snow stuff, right?
Yes. Since then, that was actually one of the very first photos I got the snap of it. We've based on that photo, we added the accessory lights on the top, and then of course the spray and bed liner and the plow in general. But yeah, it's crazy, man, to think that we're this involved in the snow and ice game, and that is a very, very nice. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm a diva, and that is a great first rig if you're going to get started in snow and ice. But and I'll tell you this isn't my first rodeo in business. You know, this is my 10th season, so we've got the cash and the cash flow to do some of these investments. But in terms of tackling snow, it is my first year plowing, so it has been a learning experience, and getting baptized by fire, that is a fact.
Yeah, I remember you've got some really great videos. Your wife went co-pilot with you for a couple, which I'm sure that helped a lot. You probably don't want to be driving and backing up it with a camera in the rearview mirror, so, but those are some pretty wild videos. As far as, like, I know you said that you've got real good cash flow, which probably made it easier to get into something like the plowing. But for someone who's starting out, at least, and like I said, I have no idea about snow. So in my opinion, like lawn care and landscaping, they get paired a lot because they make sense to go together. The tools, the work together, you know, the hand tools that you have, the power tools you can kind of, But if you're getting into snow, it seems like you're starting, you know, it may still be under the same business, but it seems like an entirely different setup as far as all the equipment you need. So do you have any tips? I know you said it's your first year, but you've probably got a lot more experience than people who haven't done anything. Do you have any tips as far as, you know, what to start off with as far as equipment or brands, or, you know, should you start off with the hand plows before you go to the truck plows or anything like that?
That's a really good question, man. And to be honest with you, like you said, it really depends. It always depends. I always say context is everything, right? So it depends on how big you want to tackle the snow and ice game. Honestly, you might want to invest $100 grand your first year in snow, depending on your business model and how big you want to take it. For other guys, you might just be nervous buying a pair of boots and a snow shovel, right? So it all depends is always my answer. But yeah, based on the fact that we had some decent financials, we were able to get, we put a gob of money down on the truck. We paid cash for our plow. This was, it wasn't like a mistake, and I didn't just kind of fall into it. It was a very, like you said, tactical, you know what I mean, approach. We knew what we were getting into, and I had my feet wet for about 7 or 8 years just doing, my background, like you said, is 99% of my income in my business was the lawn care and landscaping side of the business, right? And most people know that I had an F-150. It was a 2x4, two-wheel drive, you know, rear-wheel drive truck, right? So I didn't really have the capacity to do the snow and ice game all in because I didn't have a 4x4 truck. And then I also didn't have the big enough chassis, you know, sized vehicle to carry a plow. So no excuses though. You know, I had a couple snow blowers, and me and my friends, you know, a couple guys that would work for me, we would just grab shovels and tackle the neighborhood, kind of like the neighborhood kid on steroids, I always call it, right? And you know what? It was great extra income. It was all pay the bill money. It was just, you know, just to keep the season moving, honestly keep me out of trouble and doing something in the winter. So I didn't spend all day watching Netflix or buying things on Amazon, because we know how easy that gets, right? But yeah, last summer when I knew I was going to be picking up the new truck, the main reason I went into snow removal all in was to have honestly just 12 out of 12 months of income and utilize that truck year round, be able to take care of our clients year round, and just offer more service to the customers that we have. And of course, make extra money. That's always the goal in business. So yeah, if that answers your question, it was my first year, but whether you get started with snow shovels and snow blowers, or you decide to spend $70,000 and do it right, that's really up to you, and it really just depends on where you're going to be in the next couple years with your business. But I've ran the gamut. I've ran it from snow shovels, being the neighborhood kid, just $20 an hour cash, to running snow blowers with a couple guys, to obviously big trucks, big rigs, and you know what? I'm sure we're still just getting started. The sky's the limit, and I can't wait to see what we're going to have over the next 2 to 5 years in our business. So the sky's the limit, man.
You're probably gonna have a fleet by then. I'm glad to be watching and tagging along though. I'll say. So I know this is a question that I don't think we talked about discussing, but what I've experienced in my first year of lawn care is that all the little jobs and the one-offs kind of build your knowledge and your confidence and your skill set for all your other jobs. But when you were talking about starting off with maybe shovels or snow blowers, if you've got somebody who says, well, I'd like to get into snow, but I don't want to do that for whatever reason, if somebody wants to start off with, like, let's just say a lower entry plow, and they want to skip the shoveling and the snow blowing, do you feel like they're missing out on a ton of experience from that? Or do you feel like if they start off with plowing, they won't be missing a ton, because while it's still snow blowing, the dynamics of the two are completely different? Does that question make sense? I don't know if I worded it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, it really is going to, based on how big you want your business, how much money you need to make, and how much you want to tackle, right? In my experience and in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with getting 2 snow blowers and you and a couple guys and honestly running amok around town. tackling everything. I think the next tier up would be to have your half-ton truck. There's a half-ton plows out there, and for maybe half the investment of some of the higher-end commercial setups, you can still get a great little plow on your truck. Keep that truck moving for a couple extra months of the year. Are you going to be plowing Walmart parking lots? Probably not. You know what I mean? But if you have a good plow and you want to go do 20, 30 residential driveways with a medium duty commercial plow, then for sure you can keep that truck moving. You can keep you moving. And for, honestly, a pretty nominal investment, you can get some of these plows for $3,000 to $5,000. And to provide some context, mine was just over $7,500. So there's always different tiers, right? There's always different levels that you want to participate in. So if you don't want to go all in and drop 50 grand on a new truck, for sure, go with, keep your half ton moving. And if you got 4x4, you're 80% of the way there, and, pick up a plow and decide if you want to make more money. And here's what I always tell people: if you like it, then you can evaluate picking up that new truck and that new plow and going more all in. But again, you got to make sure you get the customer base to support that kind of an investment, right? So I always try to tell people, hey, we had quite a few customers, residential and commercial, to pay for the truck, pay for the plow. It was honestly a very stress-free purchase. I didn't really have to second-guess things. When you look at the numbers, you're like, hey, this makes sense. Is it going to be like that for everybody their first year doing snow removal? Probably not. You know what I mean? So you just got to figure out what makes the most sense for you and what you're trying to accomplish, if that answers your question.
It does. So it seems like it's, even though it's a separate business in the lawn care, as far as the building goes, it may be the same, where I started out with a Big Dog Alpha, which is, a under $3,000 residential mower. And until I had the client base to justify the Bobcat commercial standard, I'm just saying, no, I can't start off with a commercial. So it might be the same, like you're saying, that's the benefit of doing the snow shovels and the snow plows before you do the plow that hooks up to your truck, is that you do build that customer base in a manner that's, I don't know if organic's the right word, but in a way where that you've got the business to justify that expense. So
yeah. If I can add, I think you hit the nail on the head with it's not only the equipment if you want to invest in, right? It's also whether you want to personally invest in the snow and ice game, because what I would encourage them to do is go work for somebody else and learn what it takes to do snow and ice, because it is an entirely different animal than lawn care landscaping. It is entirely different business, even though your same company runs that service, right? Brian's Lawn Maintenance offers lawn care, landscaping, and snow. It's not the same at all, because the hours are totally different, right? You don't cut Mrs. Smith's lawn every Tuesday around 11 a.m., right? In snow, dude, 4 inches of snow, 12 inches of snow, it comes, and you've got a 24-hour window, and you're pulling long hours. It's crazy. The weather is crazy. The conditions are crazy. It's a lot of work at night, and it's a totally different animal than just kind of the pacing yourself scheduling that you can do with lawn care and landscaping. So I always tell people, hey, before you even decide to throw your own money into that, go work for somebody else and see if getting up at 4 in the morning is something that you're interested in, and working 20 hours straight before you throw your own money into the game. Go plow with somebody else's trucks and vehicles before you decide to use your own and potentially damage things, right? So I always tell people, it's not just the equipment, it's the whole business in general, and it's got to come full circle. There's a lot more to it than just getting the equipment. It's whether or not you want to pay the extra insurance money, and work the longer hours. But in my experience, it's been worth it. It's been a major blessing. But I don't encourage people to just jump into it wholeheartedly without evaluating every aspect of it, if that makes some sense for you.
It does. And when you mentioned working for someone else, I wanted your opinion as a business owner, and you're an employer too, right? You've got helpers that you use at a certain time. I've got zero experience with that. So I like the idea of working for somebody first to get an idea if you even like it.
Sure.
But from your opinion as an employer, and I don't want to say, would you be dishonest about it, but if I wanted to go work for somebody, would you appreciate it as an employer if I said, look, here's the honest truth. I'm really trying to see if this is something that I'd like to get into for the business. So I'm looking for maybe something more short term. You understand? Because I feel like if I approach an employer with that, they're going to say, hey, this guy's just trying to steal my information and he's going to leave right after I train him. But at the same point, you don't want to, I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good question, and I can totally relate with the apprehension with that, and the anxiety that comes with it, and the what some of the concerns. In my experience, now this is just my story, right? I personally feel that more people are interested, especially in snow and ice, with networking versus being in competition. I would say lawn care landscaping is a little bit more cutthroat. There's only so much work to do per se. With snow removal, again, it's totally different mindset. It's very interesting, and I'm learning this too. Is that let's say you can cut 100 lawns in a week and do 25 lawns a day, right? In snow, you get all of that work in a 4 to 6 hour window, and it has to get done. So when 20 inches of snow falls on a city, everybody kind of bands together, and there's a lot less I don't want to put anything down, but there's a lot less cattiness and pettiness when it comes to snow, because the people who are participating in snow and ice, they're fully vested in that industry, and there's no time to look over the shoulder at what the other guy is doing, because there's work to do. You have 4 to 8 hours to what we call restore order, right? Your commercial property doesn't care if you didn't get there. They want those doors open at 8 a.m., right? So if somebody wants to jump in the truck and help out, we'll definitely employ them, and we'll take that help, and we appreciate it. If somebody wants to jump in and then a year later buy their own truck, you know what I'm going to do? Hire that guy as a subcontractor and feed him work, because there's this many guys that can do snow, and there's that much work, or there's this many guys that do snow, and there's that much work. So we need as much help as we can to get the job done as fast as we can. In lawn care landscaping, you've got tons of time. In snow, you have a window where that work has to get done. So if any of my guys decided to buy a new truck and go on out there, I would absolutely be feeding them work instantaneously, because there's just so much work to do in such a short amount of time, if that makes some sense for you.
Yeah, that honestly, that sounds like a pretty neat setup where we're getting more feedback.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, just wanted to make sure it was sounding good. That sounds like a lot better setup than maybe lawn care, where it is a little bit more competitive, and but it does sound like there's a lot more stress and responsibility that goes with it too. But another case of honesty being the best policy if you are interested in working for somebody first. So that's good to know. One of the comments said, don't forget to mention ATVs and plow attachments in doing sidewalks. So I guess they mean, like, if you've got an ATV, are there little tinier plows that you can hook up to that? And then maybe that'd be an easier way to get started for residential work?
Yes, there are plows for ATVs. That is a viable setup. A lot of people are running those nowadays. It's become more popular the last handful of years. And it more relates to, you can do them for residential. If you're 16 and you got a family ATV, for sure, man, throw a $250 plow on that thing and go tear up your neighborhood, and you can cash in on snow big time. For some of the bigger guys, when you have strip malls and parking lots and like Home Depots and outdoor malls, there's a lot of sidewalks, and you can't just have a snow shoveling crew with 4 or 5 guys in shovels or snowblower. So an ATV is going to be, I always say, anytime we can throw a motor on there, more than likely we're going to be more productive, right? So when you've got an ATV ripping around an outdoor mall, you can clear those sidewalks out exponentially faster, right? So yeah, ATVs are awesome. I don't have an ATV yet. As our clientele grows and my commercial interests grow, you know what I mean, and I want to buy an ATV, I'm pretty sure the business just happens to be investing into an ATV this year. And I'm eyeballing Polaris 570s right now with a Boss plow. And we may have that set up here going into 2018-19, like you were talking about. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then the new guy's the one that has to ride the ATV cold, right?
Man, I put the new guy in the truck, man, and I go ride that ATV. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? No, I don't know, but I like having fun, and I don't pull rank in my business, man. I don't mind trimming, I don't mind mowing, and I don't mind shoveling, man. Everybody's got to get the job done, and you can't have an ego when you're a business owner, man. You just got to hustle. You know what I mean? So.
I like it. Very good attitude. I'm sure the employees appreciate it too.
For sure. And for sure, they're surprised. So,
yeah. I would be too, because as an employer, I'd be the one who's saying, no, I'm taking the heated cab, heated seats. You jump out on the Polaris.
Absolutely.
There was one question from the YouTube chat asking about if you were going to get a new mower, which bled into something we did want to talk about as far as, I know that they're just completely separate times a year, so it's tough to do a one-on-one comparison. But at least as far as snow versus lawn care, which one do you feel like is more profitable? I know you can't just say, that's kind of a real general thing, apples to oranges. You've got more insurance, more overhead, more liability with snow plowing. And
sure.
So I know it's tough to make it that simple, but if you could, as simply as you can, because I'm a simple man, kind of do a direct comparison to the two.
That's a great question. So the simple answer is that in lawn care, we have, let's say 200 working days or something like that, right? Part of the season. You have an 8-month season. So in theory, yes, you should be able to make more money. Now, mowing grass, it might be a tough comparison, but landscaping for sure. Most people know that the money's in landscaping. I call lawn mowing is pay the bill money and payroll. But landscaping is where the money's at. And my company is now continuing to transition to doing way more landscaping because we have the resources now, right? But that doesn't mean that snow removal isn't profitable if you do it right. And here's a big asterisk, and I really implore people to evaluate things intelligently. You have to have really good contracts. You have to know what you're doing with snow insurance and prepays and a lot of different things that go into the snow game. So have a good coach or mentor. But I will tell you this, per hour, nobody's going to touch what you're going to do with snow removal. There's times when I'm out there and we're making $800 an hour. If you really add up the numbers, it's not uncommon for guys to run $300 to $800 an hour doing snow removal. And if you hear numbers like that and you don't understand that, I didn't either, but I do know for a fact that when you take what you're making versus how long you're actually running those rigs, it gets very, very steep. But there's a reason why those rates are how they are, because we're all investing in $80,000 trucks and rigs to do the job correctly with insurance. So I enjoy both sides of the business. I'm beginning to more enjoy the snow side of the industry as well because it's very profitable. But I'll tell you what, nothing beats cutting grass on a nice summer day when it's 80 degrees, white puffy clouds. I know we're all looking forward to that. So my preference is always going to be cutting grass and being outdoors in the summer, enjoying that beautiful weather. Snow and cold, I hate it. Everybody else does. If we didn't get paid what we did, there's no way I would do it. But I'm definitely a lawn care landscaping guy. Snow removal is extra credit. And yeah, so if that makes sense.
It does. That's good. And before we jump completely off of snow and into spring, you have any funny or terrifying or any kind of good story from your first year in snow plowing?
Dude, for sure. You kidding me? I've got tons of stuff like that. I wish we had more time to go into all of them, but if you guys think that I'm without having my my rookie mistakes and my newbie fails, I did a couple of videos on my lawn care channel talking about them. But yeah, we've hit our fair share of curbs and jump curbs. We've taken out mailboxes and things like that. All off the record, right? We've scraped people's driveways, right? We're into the grass where I know I have about 20 sprinkler heads I probably got to fix this spring. I did take my truck off like the side of a friend's driveway and kind of came down with the back end, and that was probably the most crazy thing that's ever happened. So you know what, I don't want to scare anybody either and tell all these horror stories, you know, but you got to be chill, you got to be hang loose and flexible. But yeah, there's always going to be snow plowing stories, but we try to keep those off the record, you know what I mean? And that's one of those you got to hang out at GIE or you know, go to a local meetup, and you can swap those kind of war stories, I call them, right? So yeah, there's always fun stuff like that happens.
Well, that's extra motivation to attend GIE this year. You just got to make sure nobody's wearing any kind of recording devices or they aren't like holding them. Hey, Brian, let me ask you about your biggest fail.
Yeah, exactly.
So now talking about spring gearing up. As far as I understand, there's been this is pretty late in the year to still be getting snow, but people are still getting it with like these freak storms, right?
Yep.
Has it been enough that it's triggering you to go out and work?
Nothing for us currently, thank God. The last week has been pretty good, and the 10-day looks pretty good. But yeah, right now they're getting 4 to 6 inches across like Chicago, Indiana, Pennsylvania. Those northeaster, what do they call them? Like snow bombs or something like that, or those are going crazy. So yeah, we're almost April, and we still have snow on the ground where I live, and I'm actually excited to get out there and do my cleanups. But we're still about another week or two out, which is bizarre. So you can thank Al Gore for that and global warming, but I'm just totally having fun, man. So, but yeah, absolutely.
So at this point, unless there's any other freak stuff, your snow plowing is pretty much done for the year. I mean, well, not for the year, but for this season, because you'll have it later in the year.
Yeah, I took it off the truck about a week ago. It's sitting at my mom's right now. We'll be putting it in the storage here, hopefully in the next like week or two. Yeah, I'm setting up all my lawn care equipment actually tomorrow on Sunday. So I'm praying that we get all the 55-degree weather. We can get on out there and start tackling cleanups and lawn care, man. So it's been a great spring or winter season, but I'm definitely ready to shift gears and transition there and get this thing spring and season going. So yeah, absolutely, man.
Yep. Hey, one last quick question that just got triggered. When you talk about, I know you mentioned contracts earlier. Is that with all snow plowing, like residential or commercial?
Yeah, everybody's on contract. Residentials have a different one. Contracts have a different contract as well. And it's mainly to protect you with doing any damage with that plow. You know, just like you might have hold harmless clauses in your lawn care landscaping contracts in case a rock goes through somebody's window, even though the proper thing to do is take care of that window and make an insurance claim or fix it, right? We can't have that big, 800-pound plow scraping up cement, sidewalks, and driveways, making cracks into things. Do you want to do that? No, of course. There's always, operating your business professionally and doing a good job. But there are damages and scrapes and wear and tear that are going to happen. So you always want to make sure that you're protecting yourself, and that's why those contracts come into play big time. We don't drop the plow on anybody's driveway or property without signed contracts, where it gets us off the hook for any damages, because damages there will be with a big 800-pound steel piece of metal scraping up and down a driveway over time. So nothing to worry about essentially when you're doing residentials, but you don't want those horror stories and those freak stories out there, and that's where they come from. So you got to make sure that you're always protecting your business and what you got going on. So yeah, absolutely.
And is that how do you word that? I mean, do you say it's for the duration of the winter season, or because I mean, we just talked about how it's kind of unknown. With lawn care, you can say it's for this year for 26, mows or whatever, 26 weeks. How do you word that as far as the duration of that contract?
Same thing. We have a start date. It's normally, I think, like November 15th or November 30th. I'd have to look at it. And then because we haven't put the plows away just yet, the reason is our ice and snow and ice contract goes till April 1st or 10th or 15th. I have to look it up. So once that's done, then we will put the plows away. But same thing. So for the duration of so-and-so timeframes, we got hold harmless clauses, best practices, tons of stuff, obviously, right? So I'm a big protect myself and my company. Yes, we have insurances, but even then, we still basically take any of our fault out of it, where we put it back onto the customer. And 99% of people don't read contracts anyway. So if there are any damages or anything like that, basically everything's up to our discretion to fix, replace, repair, and all that stuff. Now, we do take care of grass from driveways that we scrape up, right? But anything else is pretty much at our discretion, and even then, the customer holds us harmless. So there's a whole lot to go into that, and people need to get educated on that if you're going to evaluate the snow and ice game. That's where having a good coach or mentor comes into play, and having those good contracts, which might be something that our company and our YouTube channel offers next fall. So we'll think about that, but that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time, right?
Yeah. And listen, I said at the beginning, I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you when I look away. I've got 2 monitors, so I'm looking at viewer comments. There are a couple of questions from them, but before I get to that, was there anything else that you wanted to cover? Because these will probably be the last couple of things we're talking about.
No, man, I'm actually surprised that 30 minutes went by this fast. Knowing guys like you and me, I'm sure you and I could talk about 2 hours, and I think we have actually. So, like I said, I appreciate the time, man. And yeah, what other questions you got? We'll see if we can answer a few really quick.
Yeah, so one of them, Mikey's from the face-to-face page is asking if you're planning on a back plow, and I'm assuming that's a plow that hooks up to your tail hitch.
Yeah, Stanley Dirt Monkey calls them a pole plow. Other guys call them a back drag or a back blade. Yes, I'm evaluating one. Am I going to be investing in one personally? Probably not, based on the size of our YouTube channel and just networking and doing product reviews. I would be surprised if we don't have somebody bolting one onto our truck for us next fall and doing some reviews on those. So I am looking forward to them. They seem like a very cool product, very innovative idea. And from what I've heard, they're very productive. So anytime I can save money or make money, you've got my attention. And so, yeah, there's a very good chance we'll be demoing some of those here next winter, fall season, obviously. So I am looking forward to that. I can't weigh in and on it just yet. I've been approached by pretty much everybody and vice versa, and a lot of talks going on. So if something like that does materialize, I'll be super thankful for it. But at any rate, I don't have anything personally, but more than likely I would say an 80% chance you'll see something here on my channel next fall. So yeah.
So what is the principle of the back plow? So like if you're plowing and this is the front, you scrape and then is it burn or something?
So as you can imagine, if you're backing into, like, let's say a loading dock, right? When you go nose forward into a loading dock and you have an 800 extra pounds, 5 feet over your front axle, further extended, you can imagine where that center of gravity is and how heavy that nose gets, right? Well, as we drop that blade and we back drag, so all the snow's behind the plow, right? That's called just back dragging. You're going to have a lot of extra weight really quickly on the front end of that truck and not a lot of grip. Right. So when you're going down some of these steep loading docks, a lot of guys get stuck and stuff like that. And they're very dangerous, honestly, because you have a big 400-pound pile of snow you're trying to back drag out. You can get stuck really quick. Right. So the theory is you can back up into loading docks like that. Or similarly, if you have wide open parking lots, these plows on the front of the truck are only about 9 to 10 feet wide. Some of these rear back drag plows, they call them a back drag blade, are 14 feet, 16 feet wide. So you could back into somewhere and literally be twice as productive in theory with some of these back blades and back drag plows. So whether you got loading docks or, hard to reach areas where you can't really get the truck in forward and you got to be careful how you're going to back out of that. Now you can back into it and go forward. And then all you're going to use your front plow is just to stack the snow on some island or some corner of the parking lot. So I think both go hand in hand, great on a vehicle. The problem is that they're still kind of expensive. They're still $6,000 to $9,000. So after you've already done that once on the front of your truck, it's kind of a tough sell to do it again on the back. Plus, a lot of guys have their salter, right? So it's either one or the other. So you almost have to have a secondary dedicated truck or rig. And for most solo owner operator guys, that's just not likely. If you're a larger outfit, that's where you're going to see a lot of those back drag plows, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was good information on that. It sounds like it would be a useful tool, but kind of a trade-off.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see, and then one other comment from the YouTube side was, in my personal opinion, would be yes. But he's asking you, so we'll let you answer. Do you think that a younger kid, 13, would need insurance? I have all commercial equipment with zero terms, the whole deal, but I can't afford insurance. What do you think?
That's a good question. So it's kind of two-edged sword. One, if you're between maybe 13 and 16 years old, you can probably skate by, right? But here's the deal. If you're operating as a business, you would probably want to have that just to protect yourself, even at 14, 15 years old. My question would be, and I'm kind of a tough guy, I'm a straight shooter. So if you can afford commercial equipment, you should be able to afford commercial liability insurance. At your age, with how much revenue you're bringing in, probably less than $10,000 to $20,000 a year, an insurance policy like that is probably $200 a year. So stop going to Chipotle, don't go to Subway, skip one Marvel's Avenger movie, pay your monthly dues, and operate a business correctly, because that's the cost of doing business, is having correct insurance. So you know what, if you can't afford it, you need to raise your prices really simply and invest in good insurance. And you know what, nobody can afford insurance until they hit something or break something. Then everybody says it's the cheapest thing they ever bought. So your call. It's not my business, but me personally, if I know what I know now, I would probably invest in insurance when I was younger, a lot quicker, to make sure that I'm protected. And honestly, so is the customer. So if that makes sense.
It does. That sounds very fair. And I think that about does it with our time for Brian. Thank you so much for being on, Brian. We really appreciate it. Any final words of wisdom or gems or plugs or anything that you've got coming up that we should keep an eye out for?
Man, you know me. It never ends. There's always something fun around the corner. If people haven't, if they want to, follow us on Instagram and YouTube, that's awesome. That's the best way to keep up with all the shenanigans that we got going on and join in on the adventure. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy spring, crazy summer. I'm super excited about it. I'm like a duck on water. We look good, smell good on top, but underneath that water, man, we're going 100 miles an hour. So stay tuned. It's going to be great. And outside of that, I appreciate everybody who's plugging into the webinar, and I appreciate all you guys that are spending your afternoon hanging out with me and also Brad. So, and Brad, again, for real, it's not just camera talk. I do appreciate you doing stuff like this. When you said you wanted to tackle this, I said opt out, hashtag opt out, because I knew how much it was going to take. So I'm glad there's guys like you in the industry who figure all this stuff out, because you are way smarter than I am. So thank you for real for doing this. And hopefully we can do it again sometime. And if people got some value on it and enjoyed it, then I'm always open to helping you guys out with your business and answering questions and doing stuff like that, man. So from me to you, sincerely, I appreciate the time, man. So thank you so much for putting the whole webinar together.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words and your participation as well.